I love art because it is capable of capturing human reality in a way that goes beyond words. It took a piece of art to shatter the bland image I had of the Good Shepherd. Usually, Jesus is presented as the benevolent shepherd, watching calmly over his sheep, leading them to fresh pastures. But one day, when I was visiting a particular museum, a statue of the Good Shepherd totally took me by surprise as I turned one of the corners in the passageway. It was nothing like I had seen before. This modern piece of art was different. The sculpture figure was of a strong man with muscular arms. He was seated, looking utterly weary and exhausted, staring ahead of him into empty space. On his lap lay a sheep, sprawled out, looking equally exhausted, with its head gently held in the big palms of his hands. The statue immediately captured my attention, for it spoke volumes. This was no placid depiction of the Good Shepherd, but rather one that captured the drama of the moment. One could see that both of them, the shepherd and the sheep, had been through a struggle. The shock of having lost one another led them into a frantic searching, a searching for each other, a searching which did not abate until they found each other. Having overcome challenges and dangers, they are now at last at rest, having found reassurance in each other's presence. In recent months, we have seen this pain of separation of loved ones unfold before our eyes on the international media. First, when the Malaysian plane went missing, disappearing into thin air, leaving family and friends of over 200 passengers distraught and in anguish, desperate to find at least something of the wreckage. Then, the sinking of the Korean ship with so many young passengers aboard, leaving a whole nation and indeed the world in shock and disbelief. And recently, the disappearance of more than 200 schoolgirls who were kidnapped at school in Nigeria. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the famous French writer, shares in his book Wind, Sand and Stars how he himself was once lost in the Sahara Desert when his plane broke down in the middle of nowhere. When he realized his predicament, he immediately thought of his loved ones, whom he knew would be desperate and in anguish when they would hear the news that he was missing. This drove him desperately to search and find rescue. For him, the ones who were really lost was not himself, but his wife and family. For the Christian believer, life is a vocation. We firmly believe that God has given each one of us a purpose, a mission to accomplish on this earth. For the disciple, life is a calling, and all Christians have been called. Today, Good Shepherd Sunday, the Church invites us to pray for a particular vocation, to pray to the Lord of the harvest to send shepherds according to his heart. Our vocation never unfolds in isolation. But as we have seen, the life of the Good Shepherd is very much intertwined with the death of the sheep. And the vocation of the pastor is intertwined with the death of God's people. Recent turbulent times have also led to a sense of loss and anguish in the church, but also a sense of urgent searching. It is because we cherish this vocation that we pray for priests and consecrated people in the church. Recently, two great shepherds, two great pastors have been presented to us who show the beauty of this vocation. Pope John the 23rd and Pope John Paul II, both of whom were declared saints just 2 weeks ago. It was wonderful to see the palpable joy of the people gathered in Rome and throughout the world at the proclamation of these 2 new saints. In his homily, the Pope Francis said of them, "They were priests, bishops, and popes of the 20th century. They lived through the tragic events of that century, but they were not overwhelmed by them. For them, God was more powerful. Faith was more powerful. Faith in Jesus Christ, the Redeemer of man and the Lord of history, the mercy of God shown in his 5 wounds was more powerful. And more powerful too was the presence and closeness of Mary, our mother. They were indeed good shepherds who gave themselves to God and with faith were able to guide God's people to the infamous tragic events that unfolded in the 20th century, and they gave the Church, God's people, a direction, a vision, and hope as the Church crossed the threshold of the new millennium. And indeed, we thank God also for the gift of Pope Francis himself, who reaches out so spontaneously and naturally to all people, touching their lives with the authenticity of his words. Indeed, it is the people, the sheep, that acclaim a good shepherd. The shepherd and the sheep rejoice in each other. But vocation is not just a calling. It is also a quest, a search for that which is meaningful in life, for that which gives meaning to our lives, for that which makes our life a whole. Each one of us is invited by God to find a purpose in life, to come to Jesus and to surrender to him in commitment. This year, I am grateful to God for the gift of vocation as I celebrate the silver jubilee of my ordination. And I rejoice in the little good that God accomplished through me over the years. I pray that others too may listen to and find the joy of this particular vocation. I pray that others too may listen to and find joy in this particular call.